So now I'll try and discuss as to why I use full manual mode. This one is actually a no-brainer once you gain some experience with photography, and I specifically mean wildlife photography, including birding. Sometimes the shutter speed wasn't okay, at times maybe the depth of field, aperture that is, and sometimes even the ISO is way off the mark and you don't really get a satisfactory shot that you would actually want. So in a nutshell, always shoot full manual and save in the camera native RAW format. Like with any such statement, there can be exceptions to this case, but then those remain exceptions and are not the norm. Also, on the lighter side, this is a no blame game approach. If I do not get a shot, I can only blame myself and not the camera. Well, I can still blame the autofocus though. So personally, accepting for autofocus, I have not used anything auto for quite a few years now. The exception of course is macros, where focus is also manual. Yes, whenever there is a new firmware update or I change a lens or a camera body, I definitely go through all the creative modes and all the auto options, but so far it remains manual for me. So let's look at the most critical part as to why auto anything in the camera should be avoided. Now this critical part is the metering that cameras provide. What metering does is it tries to figure out what the exposure should be based on whatever you're focused on. Now, as we already know, there are quite a few metering modes depending on what you're trying to shoot and how. And then there are also exposure compensation modes which try and fix known metering issues. So it makes it a bit complex. Effectively, even if you look at the options you need to set in any creative mode, is more complicated than the manual mode. Personally, I call the manual as the make it easy mode. For the M mode, you only need to set the shutter speed, aperture and ISO once till the light changes substantially. There is no metering or exposure compensation applicable in this mode. The only exception is if you're using auto ISO, that will also be determined by metering but is totally irrelevant for RAW files. So I also set the white balance to a fixed like daylight because I don't want the camera to do any additional processing or work, because I know I will be doing it in post anyway, and the white balance almost always will be incorrect. So it is irrelevant excepting for the rendered image that you see on the LCD camera screen, which is not really a true representation of what can be done with the raw data in post, but at least gives you an idea as to where you stand vis-a-vis actual exposure as the camera sees it. By the same token, I switch off every image optimization in camera because I do not want the camera to try and remove noise and stuff, because that is applicable only to the LCD preview, the rendered data. There are a couple of thoughts about shooting in manual mode. One says, okay, so you can control the shutter speed and aperture and leave the ISO to the camera to control using the auto ISO feature. The issue goes back to the critical feature. The moment you use auto ISO, the metering and compensation kick in as well. The same applies to any other creative mode. Another thought is to check the metering and settings in any creative mode and then set the same values in manual mode. Like already mentioned, this this defeats the very idea of shooting in manual mode, where you need to control it all. So the question is, if you set your camera to manual mode, how do you know what setting to use? So before we get into the settings, the first thing I would say is to stop looking at the camera LCD to determine the actual image. Excepting for totally out of focus images, nothing else would be conclusive as such, because the RAW can be manipulated to quite a large extent. Also, as a rule, never delete images in camera. Always take them to your system in the application of your choice, like Lightroom for example, and check them out there. The other thing is, recovering around one stop of exposure in post is simple even for the entry level cameras that save in any native RAW format. Given this fact, you need not worry about the exposure being exact for any given subject. In fact, one of the reasons for using full manual mode is to get the kind of exposure you want rather than what the camera decides for you. Just keep one point in mind that I had mentioned in an earlier video. In general, overexposure is fine, but underexposure is a crime. So do not worry if you see slightly overexposed images on your camera LCD unless they are totally blown out. This can always be fixed in RAW later. Marginal underexposures can also be fixed easily in post. So do not depend on what you see on the camera LCD. Okay, back to the question. Where do you start with manual mode? What settings to use? So after years of experimenting, I have figured out settings that would work for most wildlife photographers. The same settings work across all the Nikon bodies that I have tried so far, as also for some Canon models that some of my friends have. Although you might need to adapt the basic settings based on your camera and lens, this is what should work for most to start with. For stills, a shutter speed of 1/640th, aperture f8, ISO 640. For BIFs, only the shutter speed changes to 1/1250. I call this the 640 f8 formula, where the first 640 is the shutter speed and the only one that needs to be changed based on the available light. You can increase the shutter speed followed by stopping down the aperture, which means a higher f value in brighter light. Take a test shot, check the exposure on the camera LCD and fix the shutter speed or aperture, whichever suits you better depending on your scenario. If it is a close shot, stop down. If it is not too close, just increase the shutter speed. As the light goes down, you can decrease the shutter speed, open up wider. That depends on the available light. These settings have worked equally well across all the earlier DX and FX, my current FX body. If you have a D850 like I have one now, you can push the shutter speed to 1/800 as a default for stills, and even go up to 1/1600 for BIFs. In good light, the ISO would generally not make any major difference. Feel free to push it up whenever you want a higher shutter speed than any of these. I have already discussed the depth of field and why f8 is what I use, and also some related stuff in an earlier video which you can look up for more details on that. Keep in mind, this is just a starting point and initial settings that you would need to adapt based on your gear and available light. So take some shots any place in a full circle rotating around you with the same settings, just changing the shutter speed. Get those back into your application software and take a look as to where your camera gear stands based on these settings that I've just mentioned. Personally, because I'm mostly birding or similar wildlife photography, I keep the shutter speed at the settings for BIFs, that is 1/1250, while walking around, just in case some bird flies past, because if that happens you will not have the time to change the shutter speed. If it is a still, you will always have the time to decrease the shutter speed or increase it depending. So I generally, as the moment I walk around, my shutter speed is set to BIF. If I take a still shot, I push the shutter speed down or maybe stop down as well. But the moment I am done with that, my defaults go back to the BIF settings. In a later video, I will also demonstrate how shooting manual can really help transform images in camera, which might not be possible using any creative mode. For the simple reason, even using exposure compensation and whatever else, the manual mode allows you to go well beyond those limits. We will also cover more on the manual mode, including for macros, where at least I use the flash also in manual mode, because the TTL is not really usable if you are doing wildlife macros and maybe even otherwise. So that's my reason for shooting in manual. Do let me know in the comments if these generic settings work for your camera and lens. It would help me to learn a bit more about different camera bodies and lens combinations.